Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. SeKo Starcraft back, bringing you some replays. Go for Sc2. I think it's kind of the closing rounds. It's a best of 3 series between Virium and Senin. Not too sure what they're talking about right now, but that's all right. This is a best of 3. I'm not exactly sure what the order for a lot of these things are, but they are living their own life. I'm not exactly, once again, I'm not exactly sure what the joke's about. Let's slam all the keys. Oh, we'll do that a little bit later. It is a protoss versus Zerg. Oh, hands. We'll see if there's anything crazy coming out of here. Depending on which game it is in the series, sometimes you can see different types of strategies being used. If you hear noises, my cats are a little bit high this morning, so they seem to be just running around and doing funky things. Are we having a 10? I was about to say, we're not be getting a 10 pool. No, we are going up pretty standard as it is right now. We'll see if we're going to have a fast expansion of the protoss. We're starting to see some people throwing the old school Wings of Liberty wall off, but it doesn't look like that is going to be the case. Likely just going to be a Gateway Cyber expand. Don't even see too many Forge expands. It really depends on the map if somebody's going to do Forge expands. We'll see if the Zerg player is confident enough to go for a hatch first. I do like the little symbol things they're now putting on for the different team setups. I'll probably starting up one for SeKo, get a clan going. It will be a pool first from the Zerg player. Gas just after our gateway. Second Overlord's going to come down here. This is about the time you're going to be seeing if a pylon is going to go down, maybe with some cannon rushing. I do like leaving an Overlord down in this base just until that hatch is confirmed and you got some lings out. Still pretty easy to sneak a probe in here and get a couple of cannons down and really wall off this space. And then you're just sad for a long time. Though, if you're going to get a proxy cheesed, sometimes sing an Overlord this way makes it interesting anyways. You're not going to be running this Overlord into the base to scout for a while, so you might as well use it as a bit of a longer patrol path just to be able to see if there's anything funky that you can go after. Already at 21 supply for the Protoss player. Generally, you're going to be seeing, this is when you'd see kind of an expansion go down to something of that, but there's nothing for defense right now. Bit of a different timing setup. Looks like he will be going down now that he's got a Zealot. Generally like to have that Mothership Core on the way when you're starting this here Nexus. A little bit greedier of an opening, but he should be just fine. We don't see any lings in production out of a Senin here. Rocking a little coffee. Got up feeling a little sick this morning. Everybody around me in life has been super sick as of late. That one drone's really excited about getting started. So, kind of battling that right now. Feel a little bit off. Coffee's probably going to make me feel really good for right now and then really bad here in the next little bit. Second gas on the way. Got that warp gate started nice and quickly. And out is the Mothership Core, which is just going to go in a happy little bouncing patrol path. We'll see if any tech goes into this here. Nope, just a gateway. Couple of lings out. This Nexus was slightly delayed. It wasn't a really fast, non-unit based wall off, so we don't see the ridiculously fast third out of the Zerg player. Taking them their watchtowers, might as well. Information is your best friend in StarCraft. It looks like we'll actually be surprised to see some sort of push here pretty soon once more of these gates finish up. Sometimes you can deny a third base with just a handful of sentries and zealots, because the Zerg player, in most cases, is just going to be droning the hell out of their base. Speed is on the way. Still taking gas out of a one extractor. Should allow him to get up to lair, and if he needs to move into roaches, he can. Doesn't learn too much from that Zergling. We're going to see an Overlord fly in. There's specific timings I'm sure these pro players have in their mind as to what point they should be running into the base for a scout. This would be kind of an area for me that I'd start thinking about scouting, just because the Cybernetic score has been done for a while, and generally you're going to be moving into that next stage of tech very quickly if you're planning for a 2-base play. If you want to go for a robo play and get some Immortals out, those take a lot longer to build. Generally going to be building them a bit sooner. Mothership Core, very difficult to harass at the early stages of the game. There's almost nothing from the Zerg that shoots up that's going to be moving out. Next gases are finished up. So we got lots of sentries and zealots, but we don't have anything else funky with this. If it was going to be a sentry and a zealot push, I would have expected to see at least a pylon on the map somewhere, which I'm not seeing one right now. And I would see another 3 or 4 gateways going down. This is pretty good, but they're not +1 zealots, so a big pile of lings would be able to clean that up essentially on their own. Third base, this seems like a little bit late for a third base for the Protoss player, but I'm sure it's going to be pretty safe. You can always recall home. That's the beauty of having these kind of 2-base timings with your mothership core, is that it's something that you can go in, sometimes get a cancel off on the hatchery, and then just head back home for more things. Forge happening, get some upgrades moving for that. There's no Evo chambers right now, I believe, out for... Yes, there is. There's one. Couple of spines. This is a little bit extra defensive. They're not really going to make too big of a deal. This is a pretty simple little push here that just Zerglings could clean up. So I think these spines are a little unnecessary. Well, they will keep them completely safe. It's not like it's a total waste. I mean, he can move them down to defend other bases if he needs to. But this attack is... This is everything. There's no pylons. There's no warp in points. This is just forcing the Zerg player to try to get out more units than necessarily getting out more drones and economy. Essentially cancelling the third base before the third base even started. Lots of Chrono Boost kicking around over here. And there goes the gateways. A very gateway heavy army. Nope, there is our Immortals, so we should be seeing a pretty big Sentry and Immortal push. So the difficulty about, if you did go for an attack on this with your Zerglings, you may have lost a bunch, but if you can cost out a lot of the Sentry energy, and maybe pick a few off, you make the next push a lot stronger. Sorry, a lot weaker from the Protoss player, stronger from the Zerg player to hold off. The Hydra Zergling mix, a really popular mix. You got that really long range DPS in the back, the Zerglings to kind of get past the force fields. Roaches can sometimes, even though they're a bit cheaper, get really sectioned off by force fields, cut through by Immortals, and then you're crying. You're crying about it. Good scouting on any of the third bases. This is the timing where you would generally see another base going out from a Protoss if that's what he wanted to do. Gotta be very careful not to lose a bunch of your Zerglings. A couple of force fields, and you could lose a lot. Another Evo chamber. Still just tons of units coming out right now from the Zerg player. What is the unit count at? Well, they have 52 drones to 60 probes. So we see that Senin has just not been comfortable enough to really hit up that great drone number that I think you really need as a Zerg player. We'll see how strong this push is coming out from the Protoss. Looks like he just wants to expand. Take a nice easy lollygag into the mid to late game. Good scouts off here with the sentries, putting out those hallucinated phoenixes. +2 weapons. A lot of the times you see that Protoss players aren't in a big rush to get out the upgrades for their armor or their shields. A lot of times focusing on things that give a lot of damage. And that obviously makes a big difference when you have a lot of sentry energy and colossus that you want there to cut through a lot of things. It's an okay size army right now. On move command, they didn't kill those there phoenixes. But unfortunately, I don't think this is going to work with that one colossus in the back. Thermal Lance isn't finished yet. But if he lost a lot of those hydras there, he's essentially got nothing to fall back on. Spire's on the way. He's actually been doing pretty good with his injects. A little bit of extra energy on these there queens. And the creep spread has already made it quite a long way. So there's not a lot of active tumors, so it won't take very long for one, observer to come out here and clean up most of these during his push. A nice little wall off on this side as well. Getting a cannon down, just to keep things simple and straightforward. Protoss is playing this, I think, very smart. He isn't rushing, get a huge lead of units. He's tacking up to exactly what he wants. Blink's almost finished. +2 is almost finished. Thermal Lance is done. And he's got a third base on the way. So he is sitting pretty. Back at the units, we still see a lead on overall economy from the Protoss player, which is fairly surprising. And I don't know if this Zergling and... Well, there's a bunch of drones. Great timing as the Protoss is moving out with 146 supply. This Hydra and Zergling mix from the Zerg player, I just don't think it's the right tech to be going after this right now. I think the Colossus are going to be able to do too much damage. You would need an unbelievable engagement in order to really pay off with this. Mothership Core is with this, so once again, this could be just cleaning some creep, putting the pressure on, just to be able to fall back home and rally up a few more units. Not panicking in the slightest. Great high ground position up here for the Protoss player. It's very difficult to get a great concave in this space. I mean, you can kind of try to weasel around, but you lose a lot of damage to this base from those ranged Colossus. +3 attack has started now for the Protoss player. I was about to say, that's not the right time to push up into there. Giant pile of Zerglings coming out right now. What are the Zergling upgrades at? 2-1. Oh, looks like a big clump of hydras got pulled off from the backside. Colossus are not getting hit down quick enough here by these corruptors. Zerglings melt hydras, doing what they can. They have a great amount of DPS here. Actually will get, I think he'll almost get this Colossus. Yes, he will, and that's actually a bit more of a big deal. Protoss is still okay because the amount of supply, but against the Hydra Zergling mix, Stalkers alone won't be the ideal composition. A lot of the sentries died, so that even though that wasn't the best attack from the Zerg player, it did kill off all the really expensive units that he had. All of the Colossus are dead, almost all the sentries are gone. He's still sitting up here now on a 4th base, but tech-wise, he's still, well, no, he's actually moving up into his hive right now. I'd be interested to see if the plan with that is to go into a greater spire or not. Blink Stalkers are really great against just about any late game composition that the Zerg can really have. If you want to go against, even if it is going up against Ultralisks, I mean, they do extra damage to armor. They do get cleaved through pretty quickly, but if you've got some Immortals in there, you actually can do it quite well. Mothership Core is not with this army, so it's a little bit more vulnerable. I would like to see another one made if it hasn't been made already. I don't see it. Just to be able to get out of there a little bit quicker. A lot of the creep has been cleaned up. Does see this warping over here because of these creep tumors. Still a very stalker heavy army. +3 is about to finish up. There's no upgrades for the Hydras right now, making me think that this is going to be an Ultralisk switch in the late game. There is a +1 flyer attack happening. It's not like he can move into just big muta. He doesn't have that kind of huge bank to just throw into an overwhelming number. These Stalkers would be able to deal with it too easily. Wouldn't mind a few more static defenses. He's got the money. Throw down a few more spine crawlers, just get that extra ranged damage. They do a great job against the Stalkers. And he's got the money to spend. There's the Ultralisk Cavern. All the upgrades along the way, including the adrenal glands, which will help out a lot with the kind of composition he has. I don't know if there's a double. This might work. These Zerglings are in there. There's not a lot of Zealots in this comp, so the Stalkers are actually getting chewed up pretty good here, but he's going to lose all of them. The good thing for him is those are cheap. But he did end up going through all of his Zerglings, and he's got no stacked defenses back here again to kind of buy him a few seconds. 50 Zerglings in production. Pretty good offensive blink. A lot of Zerglings are in here. These Colossus must have 22 kills, 24 kills. Ultralisks are on the way, and though that would be really good against this, Ultralisks take a long time to make. Great position here for the Protoss army. Few Stalkers getting picked off here and there, but they're getting replenished just too quickly. This is a tough spot as a Zerg player. I mean, those Ultras are coming out, and so he's going to wait at least to see what those do. Adrenal Gland's about to finish. Stalkers. Yeah, Stalkers. Yup. Now, the difficulty is when you're in the middle of all the different production buildings for the Zerg players. It's very difficult to get that really good movement of units. You see, you don't want to rally them right to their death. And it's very difficult to not do that as a Zerg player. There's a pretty good little blink there. Does save himself the Colossus, even though they're not as critical against these. Just great positioning from the Stalkers, cuts through everything, and that's going to be GG. Well, I'm assuming it's going to be GG. Doesn't even quite get that one Colossus. It's so OP. Apparently Senin is not a big fan of protoss. 10 hydras can kill 10 stalkers. You would think so, but the problem is hydras had no upgrades this whole game, and these stalkers are a +3. They're a 3-1. So GG out. 50 hydras can't kill 50 stalkers. Once again, I'm not going to look at that as some sort of OP style, but the Zerglings themselves, unless they get great surface area, aren't going to do that great, and they'll get carved through by these colossus that have sick amounts of kills on them. And they have upgrades. The hydras, all they have is the armor upgrades. They didn't have the attack upgrades. So yes, they will die very, very quickly and do not the damage they need to. Game 1 does go to Senin. It is a best of 3 SeKo Starcraft. We'll be back at game number 2 in a moment.